This is Stratford International Station. Stratford International is an international railway station in the East London area of Stratford.
No shit.
However, despite what the name of the station might suggest, no international trains to Europe stop at Stratford International. And I don't mean in terms of direct trains passing through the station and the occasional slow train stopping at the station. I mean that if you live in Stratford and you want to go to France by taking a Eurostar train from Stratford International, good luck. Because to this day, not a single international train has ever Okay, fuck it, you get it. They don't stop there. The only high-speed trains that ever do stop at Stratford International are just domestic Southeastern high-speed trains to Kent. But at least you can get the Docklands Light Railway to Cyprus. Get it? But why is that? Why don't any international trains stop at Stratford International? Well, short answer, Stratford International is one of those projects that were really exciting when they were announced, but ended up failing miserably. A white elephant, which is a very common thing in London. But I think in order to get the long answer, we need to learn some history. So Stratford International is an intermediate station on the high-speed railway line High Speed 1. To understand the story of High Speed 1, let's go back in time to the 1990s. The milk snatcher, Margaret Thatcher, is still Prime Minister, and the sinking of the Titanic turned into a cheesy love story. On the 6th of May 1994, the Channel Tunnel, or Channel as it was often called, I'm not making this up, was opened. Britain and France was finally connected with a crossing across the English Channel, an idea that was first thought of since 1802. The Channel Tunnel is a road and rail crossing, linking Eurostar trains from London to Paris and Euroshuttle trains for cars and freight vehicles from Folkestone to Calais. Wait, did I pronounce that right? Hold on.
Calais.
Okay, never mind, I did pronounce that correctly. The Channel Tunnel is owned by two companies, Jetlink and High Speed 1. High Speed 1 was built to allow Eurostar trains, and potentially other trains from different countries in Europe, to run into London. However, High Speed 1 never opened until 2007. It wasn't even in construction after the tunnel opened. It was originally hoped that High Speed 1 would be built after the Channel Tunnel was completed, but due to a lack of interest within the British government, because the idea only involved trains and not cars, and Thatcher's government can't have that, and due to the terrible state of Britain's economy at the time, the idea was rejected. So instead, for 13 years, the only way Eurostar trains could ever get into London was by sharing tracks with the domestic railway lines in the southeast and terminate at a separate international terminus at London Waterloo. But by the early 2000s, Margaret Thatcher was dead and Britain's economy had improved. So the government decided to look into the possibility of building a dedicated high-speed railway line. Finally, on the 14th of November 2007, High Speed 1 was opened, complete with 68 miles of track that are capable of withstanding trains travelling at a speed of 300 km per hour, 2 intermediate stations at Ashford International and Ebbsfleet International, more on that in a minute, and a brand new terminus at London St Pancras International, making the former London Waterloo International terminus, and thus the international platforms at London Waterloo closed down on the 13th of November 2007. Okay. So how does everything I've said in the past 2 or 3 minutes is related to Stratford International? Well, notice how I said earlier that when High Speed 1 opened, it had 2 intermediate stations, Ashford and Ebbsfleet. When I said that Stratford International was also an intermediate station on High Speed 1, well, here's the reason why I said that. So, apparently Stratford International wasn't meant to exist. Just from looking at Google Maps, where Stratford International is only 11 minutes from St Pancras, you can tell that the station wasn't supposed to be here. In fact, in 2006, the construction of Stratford International was completed 3 years prior to trains stopping at the station. So for a while, Stratford International was an empty station in the middle of nowhere. Housing around the station and the Westfield shopping centre wasn't built until mid-2012. Now, why would High Speed 1 build a station in the middle of nowhere? Well, the answer is
that there was big plans for the station.
On the 6th of July 2005, London was chosen to host the 2012 Summer Olympic Games, a multi-sports event that would later on become arguably the biggest sporting event in the world. This was an exciting moment for London and the UK, as it would not only make London the world's first city to host the Olympics 3 times and give the country a sense of pride, but it would also be the perfect opportunity for the government to get
Loadsamoney. What's they spell?
Now, why would a multi-sports event such as the Olympics would be a perfect socio-economic opportunity for the British government? Well, it would create tourism for the area hosting the Olympics. The Olympics would create jobs in different industries. And tourists who would travel from around the world to watch the Olympics will spend the duration of the event in hotels in London, contributing to the local economy. But where was it gonna go? The event had to be situated in an area with local transport links, it had to be in an area with enough space for venues and facilities, and it had to be near an area where people live. This was quite a difficult task for the planners, as London is not exactly a space-efficient city, with the Greenbelt legislation preventing expansion. There were many spots in London that was considered for the home of the 2012 Olympics, including Regent's Park. Where in the actual fuck was all of this gonna go in Regent's Park? But luckily, the planners have finally made a decision, as their eyes were drawn to East London, more specifically, Stratford. Stratford in East London was particularly chosen to host the 2012 Olympics due to the historic value and potential of the area. You see, pre-Olympics, Stratford was a shithole.
It still is, but whatever.
Stratford and East London in general was one of London's most poorest and isolated areas. It was an area afflicted by unemployment and crime. However, as London was chosen to host the 2012 Olympics, the planners saw Stratford as an opportunity for regeneration of the area, allowing residents to find jobs more easily with businesses opening up in the area, and lowering crime rates.
That aged well, didn't it?
While venues and facilities were still getting constructed for the 2012 Olympics, housing began construction as well, and the area later became known as Stratford City. Now, of course, Stratford City needed good transport links as well. High Speed 1 was still in construction, and the planners noticed that the line was going to go right past Stratford. The 2012 Olympics was coming as well. They decided that it was the perfect opportunity to build an international train station at Stratford. High Speed 1 and the planners of Stratford City agreed, and the construction of Stratford International Station was completed in 2006 and opened in 2009 for Southeastern high-speed trains. The station was complete with domestic platforms and international platforms for Eurostar trains and Southeastern high-speed trains, areas for border control, and even commercial units for car hire. The future should have been bright for Stratford City. Residents would no longer have to travel to France by plane. They could instead be at France in as little as a few hours by taking the train, all thanks to an international station getting built on their doorstep. But there was a problem. Eurostar, the only international train service to France, didn't want to stop their trains at Stratford International. Eurostar made it crystal clear that they were
Never
gonna stop their trains at Stratford International, and they had many reasons why. Eurostar argued that the station had inadequate transport links at the time. There was no passenger interchange between Stratford International and Stratford Regional Station, despite the extension of the DLR to Stratford International from Stratford Regional opening in 2011. And finally, the 11-minute journey time between St Pancras and Stratford International would make journey times longer. Now surely you would think that Eurostar would at least stop their trains at Stratford International during the 2012 Olympics, right?
Wrong!
Not even Eurostar wanted to have their trains stop at Stratford International during the 2012 Olympics. Local East London politicians were begging to have Eurostar stop at Stratford International, but still, Eurostar sat back and said,
none.
So yeah, Eurostar was not gonna stop at Stratford International. Ever. And to this day, Eurostar trains still do not stop at Stratford International. But I guess there is one question we all might be wondering. Will Stratford International ever be international? Will international trains ever stop at Stratford International? Probably not. There was actually many different plans to have international trains stop at Stratford International, such as an introduction of a service called Regional Eurostar, which was a plan to have Eurostar trains travel to literally every city in the UK.
But that's a story for another time.
An international sleeper train that was similar to Regional Eurostar, and there was hopes for the German railway operator of Germany, Deutsche Bahn, to have their high-speed train stop at Stratford International, back when Deutsche Bahn was planning a London to Frankfurt service. But every single one of those plans was scrapped. And to add insult to injury, there is no plans for the future High Speed 2 to make a connection with High Speed 1. So that will prevent any possibility of high-speed trains travelling from the west of England to Europe. But it's not only the scrapped plans that are causing problems for Stratford International. There are also problems with the station itself, most notably border control. Stratford International is configured in a way to have border control installed, but the station is no longer equipped for Britain's current border control equipment, staffing and protocols. So, if future international train operators want to stop their trains at Stratford International, they won't be able to because border control can't be installed at the station. So in conclusion, whether time will tell or not, I think it's safe to say that Stratford International will never be international.